Who's going to be your next U.S. Senator from the state of Illinois? Tammy Duckworth's term is up. She's the incumbent Democrat. She is running for re-election and apparently on the ballot now, and though it's not been certified yet. That's still going to happen sometime next month, but it could be a three-way race between the Democratic incumbent, a Republican, and a Libertarian. Well, joining us right now here with Springfield's Morning News is the Republican candidate for the U.S. Senate, Kathy Salvi. Right here with Springfield's Morning News, I'm Greg Bishop. Kathy, thanks for taking time with us. We didn't get a chance to talk during the primary process, but you seem to have that substantial lead heading into ballot or at least election certification. So welcome to the Springfield airwaves. How you doing?
Good morning, Greg, and thank you so much to you and your team for keeping us all informed.
That's what we do each and every morning and all throughout the day, and even sometimes on the weekends when news breaks. We're definitely there. So greatly appreciate it. For people who aren't familiar with you, who is Kathy Salvi?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm first of 9 children raised in a working town, Waukegan, Illinois, up in Lake County, and that's where I've run my business for the last 30 years plus. My husband and I raised 6 amazing children, ages 34 to 23, and we live in Mundelein, Illinois. And I have to tell you, I had to get off the sidelines and jump into this race because I feel that I was the only one with all of the qualifications to become our next U.S. Senator. We need a working senator, somebody who's going to represent our interests here in Illinois, the people and families. And I'm a 5th-generation Illinoisan. I was raised here. I'll be put to rest here. And I believe I could take a strong common sense brand of leadership on behalf of all families and voters of Illinois.
So outside of politics, what was your profession, or what is your profession?
I was, I'm an attorney by practice, and I started bussing tables at the local restaurant Bob and Ann's in Waukegan, and I worked my way through high school and then college and on to law school. And I don't know, back then I thought I just want to make the world better. I come from hardworking folks. My parents, like many of the families today, 2 out of every 3 families live paycheck to paycheck. And we knew that the way we were going to make something of ourselves was to work hard and get an education. So I've lived the American dream, and I want to see that our children and grandchildren are able to achieve and live the American dream too.
Kathy Salvi joins us. She is the Republican candidate for U.S. Senate, and the November election is going to be here before you know it. So we'll definitely have plenty of opportunity to talk with Kathy and the other candidates as we get those opportunities. But Kathy, of course, you look at some of the polling data, and while a lot of the headlines have been focused on issues of gun control and issues of access to abortion, things we'll definitely talk about. But it seems that the main driver of voters right now is inflation and the economic prospects. What's going on with the record amounts of inflation we've seen, and how do we get control of it?
Well, you betcha. I'll tell you, people are worried. How do they put gas in their tank and food on their table, and even shopping? You look at the size of what we buy, the shrinkflation. Every one of us are hurting. And Joe Biden, this has been a train wreck for America. And Tammy Duckworth, my opponent, she is a rubber stamp for his failed agenda. And this is why we will elect a Republican U.S. Senator, Kathy Salvi, this November. I want Illinois voters to have an opportunity to put a check and balance and some balance in Washington, because we know this far left agenda is hurting all Illinoisans.
What do you think?
We have record high inflation, 40-year high, and it's crippling our hardworking families here in our state. And I want Illinois to be a land of opportunity where people flock to. And as I mentioned earlier, about 2/3 of the families here can't make ends meet. It's just difficult to get through each day, and we deserve better than that. Tammy Duckworth and Joe Biden are to blame for the skyrocketing inflation because they push reckless spending and they overtax us. And their solution is to tax us more and to spend more. And all the while, good businesses are leaving the state, and with them, good jobs. I'm a grandma, and my 2 daughters found better opportunities in other states. I'm not alone. Our grandchildren are being taken away from us, and retirees, they're taking their dollars out of state too because it's simply unaffordable here. And I'm going to change this as the next U.S. Senator.
When it comes to the specific policies that you say Democrats are pushing that is making inflation worse and not giving the best economic prospects, is it the environmental regulations? Is it just the spending on new programs? What specifically is driving this?
Well, first off, Tammy Duckworth votes nearly 100% of the time with Joe Biden and his failed agenda. She voted 75% of the time against the policies of the prior administration, which were great for this country. Let's look at our energy situation. At one point, she said that she felt we shouldn't get oil from foreign countries, and yet now we have a president who's begging for oil from foreign countries. And why? Because we are no longer energy independent. And our domestic reserves of natural gas, our coal reserves, our oil here in our country, we were a net exporter. And now what are we doing? We're energy dependent. So I feel energy drives our economy, and the disastrous policies out of this administration, which were supported by Tammy Duckworth, have put us in the situation we're in. And then if you add the reckless spending in Washington, the American Rescue Plan that was passed in March of 2021, with no Republican votes, we had printing and spending of trillions of dollars. And what do we have today? Record inflation. So I would suggest that we need to get back on course and elect a Republican U.S. Senator this November.
We're talking with Kathy Salvi. She is the Republican candidate for U.S. Senate to take on Tammy Duckworth, and also the Libertarian candidates. And, of course, the ballot will be certified sometime in August, so we'll have the definitive names on that ballot. But, Kathy, when it comes to some of these other issues that are lower on the polling spectrum but still very controversial, where do you stand on the access to abortion issues? That Illinois seems to be an island, as you had the U.S. Supreme Court return the issue of abortion back to states to manage. Where do you stand on this?
Well, I'll tell you, there's only one extremist in this race, and it's Tammy Duckworth on that issue. My entire life as an attorney and as a mom, as a neighbor, has been to help women who face crisis pregnancy. You know, when I was a young mom, I had a 1-year-old and I was expecting our second, and a young unwed mom came to Al and me, and we offered her a home, and she lived with us with her little infant for 1.5 years until she could get herself on her feet. And another example, when I was a young attorney, one of my first cases was to represent a family whose lovely daughter died, bled to death in the front seat of the car with mom behind the wheel from a so-called safe, legal, and rare abortion. And I represented that family to justice and was effective in taking the medical license away from the doctor who performed that death-causing act. So I'll tell you, I'm there for women. My whole life I've been dedicated to making women and families' life better as an attorney, as a practicing attorney, and I'll continue to do it as our next U.S. Senator.
But should there be access to abortion? And I guess the question that comes up is, what's the line, right? When in pregnancy can a pregnancy be legally terminated?
So look at our state. Here we've got the most radical abortion law in the country, elective abortion through 9 months, taxpayer funded. We're becoming a mecca for abortions around the country. And I'll tell you, that's out of sync with mainstream America and mainstream Illinoisans. And that is exactly the policy that my opponent supports. Over 80% of Illinoisans reject 9-month elective abortion. And I think we've gotten all out of kilter here. You know, abortion is a tragedy. There's no doubt about it. And I think we should offer women some alternatives other than 9-month elective abortion, taxpayer funded.
Kathy Salvi with us. One last question, and then we'll let you get out of here. And that's about guns. What do we do? There's a push to ban assault weapons, so-called, by definition. But is it going to be piecemeal by state, or where do you stand on addressing gun violence across the country?
I'll tell you, I'm from Lake County, and I was in a parade a short distance away from Highland Park And that night, I had my supporters who were in the parade about a block after that tragic event on that tragic day. They came over to the house and we talked about it. They shared their experience and how they sheltered in place. I'll tell you, as we learn more about that deranged young man, he definitely fell in the he needed mental health. And I have to tell you, I trained in 2018 in mental health training so that I could help people who came to me in my practice as an attorney. And if we haven't seen that we need that across the board, here we are. We came off of 2-year COVID shutdown, and we're just getting out to festivals and parades. And that young man, it's horrible what happened. And the tragedy could have been avoided. As my opponent even said on CNN, that had the new gun legislation been implemented, the tragedy would never have happened. And so I'd say before we pass or look at any new law, let's implement the laws that we have on the books first.
Kathy Salvi, I imagine we're going to be talking again in the very near future. Greatly appreciate you taking time this morning, and be safe out there, all right?
Yes, and as to that point, we need mental health counselors in our schools so that we could help those kids who are, suffering so, and these incidents wouldn't happen again. It all gets down to mental health.
Greatly appreciate it. We'll talk again soon, all right?
Thank you so much, Greg.
It is Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's news and